خۆشەویستان ئەگە بە هەرەوە کارێک بێت تێنەگەیشتن لە ئینگلیزیەکە وەرنە سەربەشی سێتینگ ئەگەر لە لاپتۆپ یان کۆمپیوتەرەوەیە پاشان بڕۆ سەربەشی سەبتایتڵ و پاشان ئینگلیش هەڵبژێرە بخۆی ژێرنووسەکەت بۆ زیاکان. و هەوڕێن مژدەشتان لێوێ بەڕاستی بیرم لەوە کردەوە کە ئاسی چوارەم ببێتە ئاستێک بۆ کۆتایی هێنان بە کێشەکانی گوێگرتن و قسەکردنتان هەر بۆیە ئیتر لەمە دو هەروانێک خولەکی یەکەمی تاقیکردنەوەیەکی لیسنین و گوێگرتنمانە بێ گوێ لە شتەکەگرن و کۆمەڵێک پرسیارتان لەسەری لە یەکەم ئەتوانم وەڵامی پرسیارەکاندانەوە فەرمون بە دەستکەین بە تاقیکردنەوەکە.
Dad, I'm bored today. I want to go to a movie.
A movie today? Well, I don't know. Here, let me look at the newspaper. Okay. Here's a movie that starts in the afternoon at 2:45. Well, should we take Mommy with us?
Yeah.
Okay, we have to wait for Mommy because she's at a meeting right now.
Okay.
All right, and what should we do after we see the movie?
Go on a walk.
Well, where would you like to go on a walk? Would you like to go down to the beach or through the park?
To the beach.
To the beach. Well, that sounds great. And then maybe we can go out to eat tonight. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Hello everyone, how are you doing? I hope you're all having a great time. And how was your day? Is everything all right? If everything is all right, then we are going to take a closer look at Unit 2 from Lesson 4 from Level 4, right? So today we will talk about introducing interesting stories, which means that telling the stories that you like to your friends. Okay, maybe you got promotion in your job. Promotion, I mean leveling up your position. Okay, it means getting a raise maybe in your salary, in your position. Maybe you were an IT technician and now you're an IT specialist at your company. So it means that you got promoted or you got promotion. So okay, and you tell your friend, okay, you know, I got promotion. Okay, this is something that you like and you want to share with your friends, right? And then your friend is going to tell you, wow, interesting. It means I liked that. I like that you got promotion. So this is what interesting stories means. And then asking for the details. Of course, when you tell a story to your friend, like what I told you, I got promotion, now I am something else. I was something and now I'm something else. Then your friend is going to tell you, or let's say is going to ask you a couple of questions like, when that happened? Or in more accurate form, when did that happen? Or how did that happen? And why did that happen? Right? So your friend is going to ask you these questions. Okay, so this is asking for the details. Okay, so the first thing is introducing interesting stories and then asking for the details. Look at the title of the lesson. Did you hear about, or if you want to just, you know, speak like a native person, then you can also say, did you? Okay, you can just say, did you hear about, by the way, did you is also correct. There is no problem with that. Okay, but did you is more common while speaking. So did you hear about, oh mom, did you hear about that my uncle is gonna return to Kurdistan next month? Oh, that's interesting. You see, oh, Dad, did you hear about that? The government put the election in the next month. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, or maybe you're gonna tell your mom, oh mom, you know, my brother just decided to get married next year. Oh, that's interesting. You see, this is how you talk about. Did you hear about? Okay, did you hear about? Did you hear about? Okay, so let's look at the vocabulary section and learn a couple of the new words that are related to today's lesson. Okay, so complete the paragraph with the correct form of a verb in the box. Be careful, it says correct form of the verb. Okay, you might change the form of the verb from present to past or maybe even to the progressive, okay, based on the story. Okay, and if you look at the story, it says last week, right? Last week, right? So it means that it is in the past form. So you have to change all of the forms of the verb into the past. That's why I wrote D and ED at the end of the verb. So the verbs are originally like this. But since it says last week, it is something that happened in the past. And in the definition, the title of the vocabulary, it says correct form. So it means you can change the form. So we will change the forms of the verbs into the past. Injured, passed out, and reacted, and responded, and reported, okay, and witnessed. You can see the meaning of each year. I've translated all of the meaning into Kurdish, okay. Injured, when your arm, or sorry, when your hand just breaks, okay. So it means your hand just got injured. And pass out means losing your conscious, okay. Pass out, losing your conscious. And react is the opposite of act. So act and react. And then respond is the synonym for answer. And then we have a report is clear, I think. And witness is someone who sees an accident. For example, there's a traffic accident, there's a road accident, and somebody saw the accident. So he is the witness. Okay, he is the witness. So let's read the paragraph. And so now I'm going to read and to the paragraph too, and I also fill the blanks to you too. Look at the paragraph. Last week, be careful, it's not last week. It's last week, there was a fire at a local school. A lot of people witnessed the scene. A lot of people saw the scene. Okay? They were worried because the fire kept growing. Okay? Luckily, firefighters, okay, responded very quickly. Okay, responded very quickly to put out the fire. Put out means okay, put out the fire. Or maybe I can write it here. Right. Put out the fire. Put out the fire. Okay. So no one was injured. Okay, no one was injured from the fire, but a witness was taken to the hospital. The news reported that a woman reacted hysterically means in fear, okay, in fear, and couldn't take the excitement. She passed away in the middle of the street. So you may ask why this lady was excited, why she was happy, why this paragraph is talking about the excitement here. Well, there was a huge fire, and when this lady saw that, oh my God, I could survive from this huge fire. I'm really happy, thanks to you, God. So she was really happy that she passed away. She didn't believe that she survived the fire. That's why she passed away. Okay, guys. So be careful about that. Okay. This is how you talk. And by the way, this is the Kurdish version of it. Okay, so if you didn't understand the English version, then you can just see the Kurdish version of it here. Okay, so I've translated it and you can read it there. Okay, guys, so now I'm going to tell you my story about how to talk about interesting stories. I'm going to give you another example, and I'm going to also ask a couple follow-up questions. I'm going to ask for the details, and you can see how I talk about introducing interesting stories. Okay, so oh, did you hear about that? Sam has just moved to another city? Oh, how did that happen? Well, at first I'm glad because he was a terrible liar and I didn't know how to get rid of him. Then his dad found a job in countryside. That's why they decided to relocate. And to be honest, the first thing I did was blocking him on Facebook. Why? What did he do? Well, last month he promised that he would pay me back the debt. However, after passing 3 weeks, he paid back. That just made me upset. Okay, so you see, I had a friend, he just relocated, he moved to another place, and now I'm happy. You see, I'm telling the interesting stories, and you could see how my friend asked me those questions. This is how you talk about, tell your partner about something interesting you recently heard about. Okay, something interesting. Okay, now you go ahead and tell us a story. You can pause the video here and write down your story in your notebook. Okay, now let's move to conversation section and let's see how they talk about interesting stories. Okay,
Lesson 2. Did you hear about? Page 4. Conversation. A. Listen. How did the man fall onto the subway track? What did he do after he woke up?
Hey, did you hear about the man who fell onto a subway track last week?
No. How did that happen?
He was texting a friend and he wasn't watching where he was going. He fell, hit his head, and passed out.
No way. What happened next?
Luckily, someone witnessed the whole thing. He jumped onto the track and pulled the guy out.
Wow. Did the guy injure himself in the fall?
Not really. The guy woke up after a few minutes and he was fine. He got up and finished typing his text message.
so guys, this was the conversation section. So guys, now we have a more interesting part, which is testing your listening skills. Guys, this is very, very important. Now I'm going to play the next audio track. Okay, look at here. Okay, part C, it says. Okay, here. Listen, write the 3 extra sentences you hear in the conversation. Practice the new conversation. Okay, the next audio track contains couple words, sentences, and phrases that is not written here, that is not in the conversation, but you must hear it and tell me what is that phrase, what is that sentence. Okay, just go ahead.
Page 4. Conversation. C. Listen. Write the 3 extra sentences you hear in the conversation. Practice the new conversation.
Hey, did you hear about the man who fell onto a subway track last week?
No. How did that happen?
He was texting a friend and he wasn't watching where he was going. He fell, hit his head, and passed out. He was just lying there and a train was coming.
What was the extra sentence? I'm gonna repeat it.
His head and passed out. He was just lying there and a train was coming.
He was just lying there and the train was coming.
Passed out. He was just lying there and a train was coming.
Next.
No way. What happened next?
Luckily, someone witnessed the whole thing. He jumped onto the track and pulled the guy out. Someone else called the emergency services. He jumped onto the track and pulled the guy out.
Okay, listen.
Someone else called the emergency services. Someone else called the emergency services.
Listen again.
The guy out. Someone else called the emergency services.
Someone else called the emergency services. Okay.
Emergency services.
Wow. Did the guy injure himself in the fall? People really shouldn't text while they're walking. Really shouldn't text. Injure himself in the fall? People really shouldn't text while they're walking. People really shouldn't text while they're walking. People really shouldn't text while they're walking.
People really shouldn't text while they're walking.
People really shouldn't text while they're walking.
So guys, let's
Not really.
summarize.
The guy woke up after a few minutes and he was fine. He got up and finished typing his text message.
Finished typing his message. That's funny, right? Okay, so guys, now let's talk about the summarize of today's topic. Okay, so let's read the title of the language booster session. It says, not the ways we introduce interesting stories and ask for details. introducing interesting stories. So it says, oh, did you hear about, and then tell your story. Oh, did you hear about the man who fell onto a subway track last week? Oh, did you hear about it? So that's how you talk about your important stories. You say, did you hear about, and tell your story. And then, or maybe you can say, you'll never believe what happened, and then tell your story. Or maybe you can say, oh, you're not going to believe the story I heard. Okay, let me give you more example about that, guys. For example, you can say, oh, did you hear about that? I was promoted. I told you before what does promotion mean, okay? Did you hear about that? I was promoted. Or maybe you can also say about the, also, did you hear about, for example, did you hear about the new rules from the government? Did you hear about that? Okay, or maybe you'll never believe what happened. Let me give you another example about that. So you can say, oh, you will never believe what happened. They found vaccine for COVID-19. That's a great news, right? Or maybe you're gonna say, oh, you're not going to believe the story I hear. Let me give you an example about that. You can say, oh, you're not going to believe the story I heard. Your brother just found $1,000. And maybe your friend is gonna ask you, oh, how did that happen? And you're gonna tell him, okay, oh, he was just walking in the shop and by a chance he found the money, right? Okay, so when you tell the story, you can ask all of these questions like, what did he do? Or how did he react? Or maybe, how did that happen? Or what happened? And then the person should reply to you, okay? So again, guys, if you want to talk about the stories, just say, did you hear about, and then tell your story. Or maybe you're going to say, you'll never believe what happened, and then tell your story. Or maybe you're going to say, you're not going to believe the story I heard. Okay, guys, be careful about the facial expression. I told you that before, right? Not, did you hear about? Yeah. Oh, you'll never believe what happened. No. Oh, you will never believe what happened. Just like this, okay? So look at this example, guys. It says, tell your partner an interesting story that you know. Examples. You'll never believe what happened. My neighbors and I kept losing things like keys and shoes. And your friend is going to ask, oh, how did that happen? Come on. And he's going to say, oh, it turned out to be the neighbor's new cat was taking the things and hiding them in the basement. Okay, in the basement. Okay, guys, so I'm going to give you another example about how to talk about, interesting stories, okay? Now I'm going to give you another example. You can say, well, did you hear about the story on the news last night? Oh, and your friend is going to ask, oh, no, what was it? And you're going to say, well, the government is going to give the Kurdish employees full salary after years of cutting their salary by 21%. Your friend is going to say, or is going to ask, how did that happen? How on earth did that happen? And your friend is going to reply, oh, the price of oil just surged. Surged means went up. Okay, and you're going to say, oh, actually, I just felt I am over the moon. I'm over the moon means I'm really happy. I'm over the moon, okay? So, this is how you talk about, interesting stories. You see, I gave you many examples. So, guys, you can go ahead and talk about more examples. Let's talk about the pronunciation section, guys. So, it talks about, linking vowels and phrases, guys. So, when you see, let's say, let's take this example, guys. This phrase ends with a consonant sound and starts with a vowel sound. So you see, you just link the sounds. It's not here the about, okay? The about. No, this is wrong. You should link them, and so they become da. Hear the about, to a friend, not to a friend. No, you should link them, okay? It's connected speech. Now I'm going to play the audio track. Listen to them, okay?
Page 5. Pronunciation. A. Listen to these phrases. Notice that any word that begins with a vowel inside a phrase links with the word before it. 1,
Heard about.
2,
To a friend.
3,
The story I heard.
4,
Passes out.
It's out. Okay, passes out. So guys, part B says, so now you see how that you link them, right? So part B says, complete the conversation below with your own ideas, then circle the words that begins with the vowel. We don't need to circle the words with the vowel. We just complete them. Did you hear about the woman in California who won the lottery last month? This is lottery, okay? Okay? Lottery. In American accent, you should read it like that. But in the British accent, you can just say lottery. Lottery, okay? Oh, and then he's going to say, oh, what happened? Well, this woman is from a very poor family and bought only one lottery. And hopefully she could win. So let's talk about, introducing interesting stories more and more. Okay, guys? So you see, take turns telling the most interesting story to your group members. Okay? It says, oh, did you hear about the company who held an office chair race? This is chair race, okay? Chair race. No way, what happened? And so you can tell the stories, okay? So how we can talk about interesting stories? Let's go ahead to the next section and talk about interesting stories. So, hello everyone and welcome back. If you're ready, we're gonna have a conversation together, okay? So let's start our conversation, okay? So, first of all, tell me about an interesting story that you just heard last week. Okay, so my brother just got married. We were really concerned because he has told us that there's no way he will get married very soon. And my friend is gonna ask me, okay, how did that happen? And I'm gonna tell him, okay, well, he had a plan to go to the Europe for studying, but then his IELTS score was too low to be accepted by overseas universities. You see, this is how you can talk about interesting stories. Now tell me an interesting story that you heard maybe in school, in work, or maybe tell me an interesting story about your family who got married recently, who has a newborn. Any travels, picnics in your family? Or maybe you can tell me about an interesting story that you heard on social medias, like, or maybe you read on social media, right? Maybe it was about an English course. There's a smart teacher who just opened an Arabic course, a Persian course, right? Or maybe was it about a job offer and you just, applied your CV, your resume to the job, okay? Or maybe was it about your old friend? Did you find your old friend on Facebook? Now you have time and just go ahead and tell me about your interesting story. You have time. That's great. Okay. That's great. That's great. Well done. Okay, so this is the end of this lesson, and until the next lesson, have a great day. Bye bye and take care.